Inside this church lies one of the most disturbing paintings in the entire history of art. In 1408, an Italian merchant named Bartolomeo Bolognini left a very clear request in his will. He wanted a vision of hell as horrible as possible, an image so terrifying it would shake anyone who looked at it, and Giovanni da Modena was the artist who fulfilled that macabre last wish. On one of the walls of the Basilica of San Petronio in Bologna, he created a massive scene that, even today, is so shocking the church decided to close off access to the room entirely. That's how powerful it is, so much so that even if you travel all the way there, you won't be able to see it face to face. But that's not all. There's a small detail in that painting that nearly caused a real-world tragedy. In 2002, 4 Islamic extremists planned to blow up the entire church with explosives just to destroy that artwork. But why? What could a medieval painting possibly contain to provoke so much hatred 6 centuries later? The representation of hell has been one of the key topics in Christian religion and in many others as well, as a way to symbolize the punishment awaiting those who have lived a life full of mortal sins. This place, so feared by many cultures and belief systems, was first described by a Greek writer in the 2nd century in a narrative called the Apocalypse of St. Peter. During the Middle Ages, a story titled The Vision of St. Peter became highly influential. It tells how the apostle descended into hell along with an angel and witnessed a series of events that left him horrified. One example of these visions is the tree of fire from which sinners hung by its branches. In Giovanni da Modena's fresco, we can find a similar depiction in the upper section. Another possible influence on this fresco can be traced to a narrative called The Life of Saint Pachomius, written by another anonymous Greek author, which describes the monk's vision of a rocky valley in the underworld. However, the most significant narrative of hell is found in the verses of Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy, where he details all the different circles of the underworld and the specific sins they correspond to. It was Dante who shaped the version of hell we know today, where pagan and classical beings are merged into a single terrifying world. Giovanni's work is a striking example of how hell was imagined in the past. In it, we find human figures being tortured, hanged, and sodomized by small devils. But there are 2 figures in this painting that stand out the most. First, the large demon depicted at the center of the fresco, which has 2 faces, one on its head and another between its legs, through which it devours sinners. This character is often associated with the female figure, as the devil has frequently been compared to Lucifer, who is sometimes portrayed as a woman due to his lustful nature. As a side note, I also find it interesting that Hieronymus Bosch included a similar figure in his painting The Garden of Earthly Delights. Unlike Modena's version, Bosch portrays a demon with a single head, but in addition to devouring sinners, he also excretes them. It might be a coincidence, or maybe they simply shared the same twisted imagination when it came to envisioning beings from the underworld. Another figure portrayed as a demon is Lilith, the first woman of Adam, according to rabbinic writings of the Old Testament, specifically the Talmud. Although she was removed from Genesis, her evil image remained in tradition because she disobeyed and challenged man. According to the Talmud, she was cast out of paradise for refusing to submit to Adam, and ever since, she has been depicted as a demon and a devourer of infants. On the other hand, there is a figure in the fresco that often causes surprise and controversy. It depicts a man lying on a rock, while a demon grabs him by the neck. Just below, the name Mahomet can be read, that is, Muhammad. In this scene, Muhammad is portrayed as a heretic condemned to eternal punishment, something that is deeply offensive and politically sensitive today. However, in medieval Christian Europe, it was common to depict figures considered enemies of the faith as heretics in hell. Muhammad was seen through that lens, not as the founder of a rival religion, but as a false prophet who had led millions astray from Christianity. But why is this so serious from a Muslim perspective? In Islam, Muhammad is the final prophet sent by God, and his figure is deeply revered. depicting him graphically is already considered blasphemous by many branches of Islam, especially Sunni Islam, but portraying him being tortured or condemned to hell takes the insult even further, as it directly attacks the dignity of a sacred figure. For this reason, the inclusion of Muhammad in the fresco as a damned soul is not only a reflection of the religious intolerance of that era, it remains a source of tension to this day. In fact, in 2002, a group of Islamic extremists plotted to blow up the Church of San Petronio in Bologna, specifically to destroy this fresco. In the painting, we see a masterful use of space. Everywhere we look, there are highly expressive figures, writhing in agony, showing us the immense suffering that hell inflicts. We could even describe this fresco as an example of horror vacui due to the overwhelming number of figures it contains. On the other hand, there is not a strong sense of depth, typical of the Gothic style, where artists were just beginning to experiment with space, as well as the uneven proportions seen in many of the figures. Another formal element is the use of curved lines, visible in the contorted bodies and contributing to a sense of movement, especially in the small demons scattered throughout the scene. The anatomy of the figures is fairly uniform overall, as are their facial features. However, there is noticeably more attention to detail in the representation of the large central demon, where the artist clearly spent more time rendering the creature's fur and its two Mephistophelian faces. Throughout this video, I've had to use photos taken from different angles, some even with noticeable color differences, and yet, strangely enough, there are very few photographs of this painting available online. Because of the strict security measures surrounding this artwork, accessing it is extremely difficult. Finding a single, complete image of the fresco is nearly impossible. We do know that this painting was part of the commission requested by the merchant Bartolomeo Bolognini, who, in his will, asked for the most horrible image of hell possible, literally. Modena took on the task and executed it flawlessly. A few years ago, the Pope received a letter from a Muslim organization asking that the fresco be altered or destroyed because of the depiction of Muhammad, which is considered offensive in Islam. The church refused to change it, but decided to restrict public access instead. The painting is still there, just hidden from view. Do you think that was the right decision, or what do you believe the church should do with a work like this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to add this painting to your collection, it's now available in our store. Just click the link in the description to browse our full catalogue of over 600 historical artworks. Shipping is free worldwide, and every purchase helps me keep creating videos like this one. Thank you for watching until the end. Make sure to follow me on Instagram for daily art stories, and I'll see you in the next video.